But I want to rewind. So we've established Peshawn was working in the COVID testing center on January 7th. So a day after the Capitol attacks, she had come home. She told you she wasn't feeling well, her head hurt. You two spoke. And then the next morning, January 8th, she got her daughter ready for school, which she was doing virtually. Then she still didn't feel well. So she went back to bed early in the morning. And unfortunately, she passed away in her sleep. Again, somebody asked, well, why didn't the GoFundMe pay for the autopsy? The GoFundMe was actually launched after Peshawn was.
That didn't come.
Right.
Yeah, that didn't come till afterward, and that didn't come till afterwards. And I want people to understand this: is that at the end of the day, I had a million things going on, and I had to make the best decision. And that day, my sister passed. My mother and her child didn't see her. I asked them. It was very important for them to have for us to have an open casket so that her daughter and her mother could see her. The GoFundMe didn't come until 3 weeks after my sister passed. And at the end of the day, I want people to understand that when somebody dies, I don't know if they haven't been embalmed, that you don't have that much time. Like I pushed it as much as I could push it. But no, there was no autopsy. I asked them 3 times for help. Even for in a position to allow me to pay something back. So at the end of the day, that didn't come till after the fact. And we're talking about a life. We're talking about a life. We're talking about a whole life, a person, a human being's life who is gone, who have responsibilities, who no longer is here, who I have no clue what I'm going to go through or what anybody's going to go through, what her child, anybody's going to go through down the line. So my thing is that like it's no amount of money in the world. It's no amount of money in the world. That is, I want people to understand. I want people to really, really think here. If you've ever lost a loved one, if anybody's ever been in charge of getting a loved one dressed for the corner, getting them out of the house, calling a funeral home when you have not that much time. Also to mention too, after somebody is deceased, it's only so many days that you have. If anybody understands that, then they'll know, like, we're not, let's just wait. Like, no, we're not millionaires. We don't have to where a person is celebrities. Sometimes they're 30 days before they get buried. No, we were on lose somebody. God forbid somebody lose somebody and see how much time you have when you don't have a cent, when you don't have a dime. See how much time you have to do something, to get something together. So no, to answer the questions, that didn't come till after the fact.
So I want to rewind. And again, if you came to this late, I'm talking to Christina Brown. She was the sister of Peshawn Brown, who tragically passed away at 38 a couple months in January. I want to rewind because you were able to get into your sister's email, which, is not easy. You have to figure out the password and all that. And you found, which you generously gave to Status Coup, you found that very early in the pandemic, she had complained to Human Resources. This came before she was working in the coronavirus testing department. But early on in April, and I'll read, if you didn't catch the story, it's on our website. I published it this morning. I'll read for the audience the first email where Peshawn had complained to HR on April 8th, 2020. Over 2,000 Americans died. This was, of course, almost a year ago. They died from coronavirus. Your sister emailed HR and asked, is the warehouse going to be professionally cleaned and sanitized? An HR official responded 11 minutes later that Amazon had, quote, implemented enhanced cleanliness and sanitation protocols across all facilities. The spokesperson offered a list of mostly non-enforceable measures the company had taken to ensure safety during the pandemic, including social distancing of 6 feet, 2 meters from others at all times, and providing face masks in limited quantities for employees. Other items HR told Peshawn were being implemented included Amazon taking employees' temperatures on a daily basis and prohibiting workers from shaking hands or other physical greetings. I don't know what your sister was thinking at that time, but I assume that answer wasn't enough for her. So she responded that same evening. So what you're saying is that Amazon will not be closing the warehouse and having it professionally cleaned and sanitized. The next day, April 9th, HR responded very matter-of-factly, DDC3, which is the name of the warehouse, is not closing. They told your sister that it was being professionally cleaned and sanitized by our cleaning crew, and that Amazon was monitoring CDC, World Health Organization, and local health department guidance. So I want to ask you, because you worked in the warehouse at this time, what they say that there was social distancing. They say they were giving out masks. They say it was being professionally cleaned. Can you explain, because you were there, are those things true?
Jordan, people didn't start wearing masks in Amazon, I believe, until I think everything got shut down March 13th. I want to tell you that I don't think the masks didn't come until they were mandated. I want to say I honestly want to say closer to possibly May, possibly. No, was it cleaned? No, we had a cleaning crew that quit during the pandemic, and then they hired another cleaning crew, and they were just wiping down the walls. Nobody was ever near the walls.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you had told me for the story, the cleaning crew that quit was almost all African American, and then they replaced them after they quit with a predominantly Hispanic cleaning crew.
They were all Hispanics, Jordan. It was no they were all Hispanics, 100% Hispanics. And they cleaned the walls. They cleaned the walls. They cleaned the bathrooms. If you ask me, did they clean the carts, the devices, the rails? Where we were? No. They weren't allowed where we were. We'd be happy if somebody threw up a floor and they were able to clean that up.
So I want to explain, because obviously people aren't in the warehouse.
Okay.
They were cleaning the walls, the floors, that's nice. But the core equipment you and others and Peshawn were using to move products on the assembly line. So we're talking about the carts, the trays, that obviously your hands are on all day. This is a virus that could be passed through hands. They were not going anywhere near. They weren't cleaning the trays, the carts, or any of that.
Those were never cleaned, and I can't speak on if it's done today, but they were never cleaned. They were never cleaned. We're not by the walls. You're not packaging or loading items and stuff on the wall. Those are on the carts. Those are on the tables. Those are on the shelves. Those are on the decks.
And you and other workers, and I believe Peshawn, had asked them, your supervisors, for them to clean the carts and those things. And what did they tell you?
They said it's impossible. They can't do it. Well, how can they do it? They're not going to close, or they're not going to close for them to clean it. And not to mention, there wasn't a time when they could have cleaned it on a night shift, because the night shift, the only night shift, it's the only people in the building is the night shift. And they do take 2 breaks. I believe that they have a 30-minute break and they have a 15-minute break. But they said it was impossible to do. And actually, it was impossible to do, because I'll tell you why. Is that they didn't have enough cleaning people to clean all the carts and all the trays. It's impossible to do. And that's why we asked for the warehouse to be closed down, and not at least not a day, for at least an hour, so they could come in and get proper cleaning. It never was. Actually, during the pandemic, that's the hardest we ever worked during the pandemic, besides prom.
And what's amazing to me is you guys are basically asking them to close down for a few days, just to, like, a deep clean.
No, we just for an hour, because we know it wouldn't be for a few days, just for an hour at least, just for an hour.
And they said no, because they didn't want to lose money.
Yeah, they said that's not happening. Every day you come in, you look and you see what you have to do, how much you have to move, how much has to be gotten out. You have quotas every single day. You have them every hour, Jordan. So, I mean, they're going to make their quotas. hell or high water, they gonna make them. They in there making them right now.
Hmm. And I mean, I've spoken with workers all over the country. I mean, the social distancing is laughable.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't social distance in a warehouse
Hmm.
where you're packed right next to each other, moving products. So there was no social distancing. I was told, not at
Yeah.
this warehouse, but other warehouses, that people were packed together in the break rooms. That you know,
Yes.
people were
I mean, people
coughing.
are in there nose to nose, cheek to cheek, and I'm talking about both cheeks. I'm talking about butt cheeks and cheeks. Everybody's in there packed together.
Hmm. And could you had explained to me for the story that your sister, uh, others, people were coming in, not your sister, but people, she was seeing people coming in coughing. There were people throwing up. There had
Yeah.
people that came in and passed out, yet they still didn't close the warehouse.
No. 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 And if you were sick, and this is another thing I want people to understand, you have VTO and you have where I mean VTO was where you voluntary go home, or you get sent home. Both of those you don't get paid for. So nobody's not closing down because somebody threw up. You'd be happy if somebody threw up and they let you go home. Um, that's not happening. Not there, not at Amazon. I mean, you see these commercials. This man has a whole fleet of. I mean, they're not closing down because of that. If I don't know if they didn't see you throw up, then if they saw you throw up, that's one thing. But I mean, be happy if they were to let you go home. But no, that happened all the time. That happened there. I mean, like I said, if it's 90 degrees outside, what do you think it is in a warehouse? There was no air conditioner there. And I think I say I want to state the facts. They were starting to get central air. They were starting to put air conditioner in. But my thing is, I think the warehouse that I was at had been already up and running for like 6 years. And just after that, just 7 years, 6 years, you get an air conditioner. If it's 90 degrees outside, I can assure you it's 110 degrees in that warehouse. Have you ever been somewhere where it's so hot you can't breathe? You can't breathe. You just can't. You can't breathe. And when I say breathe, I'm not talking about you having breathing trouble, but you just like breathing in. Like you go put your face by a space here, and you just that. Imagine taking that in for 6 hours a day, and you're lifting boxes, you're lifting bags. It's 80 pounds or up. I
Right.
mean, yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.